So it is no longer news that Nigeria's federal government has decided to change the look of the Naira, Nigeria's currency. What does this portend, and why was the decision taken in the first place? These are some of the issues we'll be examining in today's talk. 5 reasons have been adduced by the central bank governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, for why this decision was taken. The first and perhaps the most pertinent reason, they say, is to reduce excess cash in circulation. Now, having excess cash in circulation, when I was in secondary school and we studied this in economics, it seemed to me like a good thing. There should be plenty of money in the economy. But the problem is when there's too much money and there aren't enough things for you to use the money for, the items that are available suddenly go up in price. So if you were buying something at 20 naira before, now that there's so much money in circulation, that thing that was 20 naira will now cost 40 naira, not because the quality has improved, but because there's too much money in circulation. And this means that the value of the money drops, and what you can actually use the money for at any given time is not commensurate to the actual value of the money. I hope I'm making sense. So that is one very pertinent reason. Another reason is to halt the slide of the Naira, which they say has lost more than 35% of its value in the last 1 year alone, and that is alarming and bad. Point number 3 is also to stifle access to money for criminal activity. In the last decade or so, we have seen a steady escalation in crime, especially things like kidnappings and banditry. Terror attacks, well, that has morphed. They no longer do so much bombings as just random attacks here and there. Either way, terrorism also still exists, even though it has taken a new dimension. They're using a different style. Now, particularly with regard to kidnappings, these monies tend to be paid in cash, which is untraceable. That is the reason why they want their payment in cash. They don't want it paid into some random account. Then when they go to that bank to go and withdraw the money, they have the police waiting to seize them. So they insist that these monies are handed over to them in cash, and that way they disappear with it. Now, they disappear with it, and they also, in most instances, cannot afford to bring such huge amounts suddenly to the bank. There's only so much money you can bring to the bank to make a deposit at any one time that will not cause raised eyebrows. Remember, Nigeria has gradually evolved into a cashless society. So a situation where maybe 10, 15 years back, you could just bring 50 million naira in Ghana must go bags and deposit. You can't quite do that now without raising quite a number of red flags. So what happens is these monies that have been earned through illicit means get tucked away into various small corners, get buried in the ground, put in soak-away pits, in overhead tanks, and then they just bring it out and use it whenever they want to. Redesigning the Naira notes will require that all monies have to be recalled, or as much money is recalled back into the banking system, so that you get the new notes to spend. If you don't bring the money you currently have with you back into the banking system, after a while it will expire and it will no longer be valid tender. You will not be able to use it as legal tender to transact any kind of business. So it will help to curb crime, and that is point number 3, which is a very good point if you ask me. Point number 4, this move will also help to mop up counterfeit currency that is currently in circulation. Quite a number of us have stumbled upon the odd Naira note that looks fishy, but the truth is I did not know that it was such a huge problem that even the federal government had taken notice of it. So for the federal government to be noting that as one reason why this move has been made, then it means that it's a serious issue and one that needs to be tackled immediately. Then again, there is a need to mop up monies that are currently outside the banking system. We have our brothers and sisters in the rural areas who sometimes just don't have access to banking facilities, and in other instances are so jaded they don't believe in the banking system at all. They prefer to hide their money in pots, bury it in the farm, under their beds, and so on and so forth. Well, you have that class of people. You also have the class of people who have had access to huge amounts of money, either by positions of authority that they've occupied in government, and have stolen so much money and think that they've cleverly tucked it away. Of course, the money that they have offshore will not be affected, but the money they have in Nigerian Naira that they have kept buried in vaults, in tombs, and so on and so forth, well, that money will waste away, essentially, because they will not be able to bring all of that back into the banking system to retrieve or to access new notes without raising the alarm. So quite a lot of that money is going to go to waste. Yeah? So I really think that the average everyday Nigerian out on the streets, including myself, we are the people that will benefit from this particular policy. But naturally, it has been criticized. There are people who have raised the objection that instead of changing the Naira note, why not just go after the criminals? Well, criminals and criminality have existed with us from the beginning of humanity. It's not going to go anywhere. And the government citing criminal activity as one of the reasons why the Naira note is being redesigned does not automatically mean that they are not going to continue going after these criminals to bring them to book. That will always be there. It will always continue. This is just another approach to taking control of the situation and making sure that whatever they have earned through this illicit means is rendered useless. So I think it is commendable when it comes to that. That said, we also know that our justice system in Nigeria is not the strongest. Quite a number of these criminal elements are able to find their way around the justice system, and within a short while we see them roaming the streets again. So I don't see anything wrong with government using this as yet another approach to tackling the menace of criminals in Nigeria. Then again, you have people who are complaining bitterly that, oh, the timing is wrong. Why so close to the general elections? What's wrong with the timing? What's wrong with it coming close to the general elections? How does that stop anybody from going out to exercise their mandates? How does that stop anybody from going out to vote? The whole thing will be done and dusted by the end of January. Based on what the CBN governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, has told journalists, these new notes will probably be released in December, but we will still have time to keep using the old notes well into January and probably the end of January. So I don't see why it is a problem, except for those who have huge quantities of cash stashed away in places where they should not be. For the average person like you and me, this is not a problem, because what we have out there is something that can be changed easily, no eyebrows raised, and we'll be fine. Certainly, after a while, when the money has been in circulation for long enough, people will go back to their old ways, but at least we'll have some respite for a span of time, and that should be applauded, in my humble opinion. Thank you for watching. If you have found this content useful in any way, please remember to like, comment, share, and if you have not yet done so, kindly subscribe. Remember that we provide excellent video production services, especially if you're based in Abuja. You can contact us on the phone number that you can see on your screen right now. Send us a WhatsApp message, send us a text, but please do not call. We will get back to you.